All right, looks like we might have Coach on here. Let's see. Coach, if you're on, you want to just
I'm
start
here.
off? Yeah, you want to, well, nice background. You want to start with just an opening comment?
Sure. We're, you know what, right now it's great getting some of our players back on campus with the voluntary workouts that have started. Hopefully we find out in the next couple of days what the official path is going to be moving forward to get the season started. I think our players are excited to be kind of back around campus, back working out, back together. And hoping to get back on the field soon. So I know we've done a lot of work football wise, and hopefully continue to. And we're excited to get this. Hopefully, get through this and get the season underway.
Zach G, you were the first one in the chat. You want to bat lead off here?
Yeah, how's it going, Dan?
Good.
So what's the early impression been of the voluntary workouts, how guys have adjusted to it? Just obviously everything being on the fly, everything being fluid, as well as the young guys that have just recently enrolled.
Well, I think guys, one, are kind of excited, are excited to be back on campus, excited to kind of be working out as a team, and have the ability to kind of train and be pushed by our strength and conditioning staff. We've moved our weight room over to the indoor facility so that we can keep that in an open air area with the garage doors open while we're training, maximize the amount of space that we have, and keep it as open air as we can. So, but I think everything's gone pretty well and gone pretty smoothly.
Demetrius?
Hey, Coach. How are you doing?
Good.
I appreciate you doing this. Your linebacker group kind of has a mix of younger players who are a bit inexperienced and a couple of older guys like Miller and Houston. How do you see that group shaking out as you guys go along during this offseason?
Well, it's interesting because there are some younger players who are excited to get in there, and obviously they've missed the invaluable reps that you could get in spring ball. But hopefully through the meetings, and we talk about our guys of finding ways to get better, worry about what we can control. So, and worrying about getting better in the best ways to learn in meetings, whether we're taking notes, whether actually you're kind of standing up and stepping while you're watching the film during the meeting, whether you're doing it virtually, wherever you are watching, whether it's on your phone or your iPad or on your computer, that you actually step up and, take a step to do things. So, hopefully all of that translates into guys being ready to go play this fall. I think if you've looked, though, I think guys get caught up a lot in starts. We try to look a lot more at playing time. So for us, it's about the playing time, and we've had guys that, even though we don't have a lot of returning starters back, we have guys that have playing time and experience in games. So hopefully they're able to adjust, and their role is just going to increase in the fall.
How difficult has it been sort of to assess these guys? I mean, you haven't been able to be on the field at all. How difficult do you think it's going to be to get these competitions going, especially since it'll be only a few weeks before the season starts as you get on the field?
I think that's one of the challenges this year. One of the big challenges every year is understanding the personality of your team. And so for us, you start to, when you talk about the evaluation, not just players who are ready to play, but the personality of the entire team and across the board. So you know what? We're just going to have to do that in a restricted window in camp, and it might actually take even to a couple of weeks of the season until we really find the personality of this team.
I appreciate it.
Edgar?
Yeah, hey, Dan. Thanks.
How we doing?
Thanks. Good. Thanks for hopping on here. How helpful would the NCAA adjustments to the calendar help you guys and maybe help maintain the quality of football? Do you feel like they're giving you some extra here to do that?
Well, I think the one thing that hopefully, hasn't been, I don't think it's official yet, if I'm not mistaken, but I know they have all the projection of what they're going to do. And we've been able to work with that schedule. I think the one thing they're trying to do is give us flexibility, especially with where we're at right now, and then say, a lot of everything is one size fits all and everybody has to be the same. I think the opportunity to give us the flexibility to kind of manage within our own programs is going to give us the opportunity to best develop these young guys and prepare these young guys. It is it's difficult to do a one size fits all in the scenario we're in right now, and for all the different programs, because everybody's in different areas, different things going on, bringing players back. So I do like the flexibility they've given us, and I don't know right or wrong. We'll see. I kind of always somebody is. They give us the outline. I'm going to try to find the best way to safely develop our players, to get them physically prepared and mentally prepared for the season while we're keeping them, with the number one priority being their health and safety, keeping that in mind.
Yeah, speaking of that, last week we were able to get a couple of the trainers on here talking about the return to campus. No positive tests with the Gators at that point. Is that maintained? And how good is that? Because there were plenty of programs that seemed to be dealing with that. And how involved were you, Dan, in the return to campus kind of program? I know you involve yourself in things pretty well.
I do. I leave a lot of that up to the medical staff, which I'm going to do. I don't want to overstep my bounds on that, but I am proud of the responsibility our guys have kind of had or what they've taken in trying to follow all the, the social distancing rules that we do. And how to learn. I think one great thing is a society right now, we've learned how to better protect ourselves and others in the environment that we're in today. And so I'm proud of our guys for paying attention to that, to do that. I was consulted, I would say, when you're looking at that and the return to campus, I was involved, but not majorly involved, more again on the informative idea and what are some thoughts that we could do with guys more than the decision-making side of things. I think, our medical staff here, Paul, and the entire medical staff, all our doctors and administratively, they've done a great job of trying to lay out plans, define things, and put us in the best position. And, more mine was consulting. If we do this, what's your thought on how we train, how we meet, how we practice, if we do those things, more than having me be on the decision end of things.
To be clear, though, no positive test among the Gators?
Again, I'm going to let all our medical guys handle all that. Well, we, with our initial round of testing, we didn't have any, but I think that's what they reported. I don't want to go out and report things that I'm not supposed to report, or yes or no on any of it, whether we had some or none.
Appreciate it, Dan.
Yep.
Jackie, was that a response or did you have a question?
And a lot of that for you guys know, that's all. There's a lot of student privacy, especially with everything going on. I don't want. I'll let when you guys get the medical guys get on, I'll let them answer all those questions.
Robbie, you got one?
I know mine personally. My test result came back negative. I don't want to speak for anybody else. So,
Robbie, you want to go ahead? I think you're on mute.
You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I got you, Robbie.
Okay, okay. Dan, I was wondering if you've had a chance to address your team about kind of what's going around in the country with racial and social injustice, and if you guys have anything planned, like a march or anything.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into what we're specifics on it, but yes, we've had several discussions amongst the staff and within the team at different times, and through different ways, whether it be individually in smaller groups or as a full team. We have, and it's been very educational to me. I think I've learned a lot and learned from our players and learned from our coaches and learned from personal retrospective.
And Dan, overall, what kind of shape did the guys come back in from what you can tell?
I'll say I haven't gotten into a lot with Nick. I think, one thing I think about, that Nick Savage does a great job of, and that we try to do in our program, we're very safety oriented. So I don't, I think, our guys haven't been back very long on campus with these voluntary type workouts. So I think we've been very slowly building up. So I don't know if we've really pushed anybody yet, because we want to make sure the guys come back in great shape, or the guys that didn't come in back in great shape. I never want to put anybody in any sort of danger. So I think we've been really slowly building more than testing to see where, kind of pushing guys to see where we're at, how great a shape we've come back in. So, but I think our guys, they understand what our program's about. I think our guys, as best they could, were able to stay in shape. I know there are a lot of guys coming from different areas that had to deal with a lot of different limitations in training. So I think, Nick and his staff's going to do a great job of building them back up, getting us ready for the season.
Thanks, Dan.
Cassidy?
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Hi. I like your background.
You guys got to get used to these Zooms, muting, unmuting, and all that stuff. Like I'm on. Who knows how many? I mean, we're on so many Zoom unofficial Zoom visits every day. So I'm good at the Zoom part.
Us young people can take tips from you, Coach.
Yeah.
Kind of following up on Edgar's question about the NCAA calendar. I know typically during the summer there's a lot of rules about what you can and can't watch, but because you didn't get spring practice, has any of that changed? Basically, can you watch some of the guys throw? What all are you allowed to be a part of during this offseason?
Yes. So, I think what's been proposed right now and what we're working on is everything's voluntary right now. So, with that stuff, we can't be at any of those. We can't even be at those activities. We still have all of our virtual meetings going on. So everything's still done virtually with the meetings that we have. I think the proposal was to get the guys back on campus on July the 13th. And between July 13th and July 24th, we would kind of go to the regular summer where we're not observing any of the, the workouts. They're allowed the weight room workouts as within Kara workouts with countable athletically related activities. And still allowed some meeting time. But then the July 24th, really the big difference within the NCAA is from July 24th to August through August 6th is the difference that they're going to propose. So July 13th to July 24th will be the same rules all in summer. It is that period right now that the proposal's out there where we're able to have expanded meetings and walkthroughs on the field. And to me, that is really the opportunity for the players to prepare themselves mentally, get out there, through walkthroughs to start getting some, muscle memory to prepare for the season and start doing, movements that'll be involved in during the season so that our guys can kind of be prepared rolling into training camp. Training camp's supposed to start on time, August 7th at this point. And, so it's those 2 weeks and a buildup that's different this summer for us.
And then I know it's going to be a weird off season because of all this. And we talked a little bit about this last year with Felipe, but what can a full off season with Kyle pretty much, I know competition will technically still be open, but with Kyle sort of knowing he's the guy, this is going to be his team, this is his playbook to lead. What can a full off season do for a guy confidence wise?
Well, I think for him, I think for a guy like Kyle, I think if everybody saw it last year, he spent every offseason preparing. He spent the offseason before preparing himself to be ready to go. And, and hopefully, both, he and Emery have done that this year to continue to prepare to be ready to go for that moment when their number's called to get out there on the field. And, I think both of those guys have experience in games now. So it's great to have some experience. I think, when you look, after that with Anthony, he's the one to me that missing spring right now it's going to be a little bit of a different curve. But the other two, having that experience, being veteran players returning, it is, I feel pretty comfortable that they're going to be prepared for the season and ready to go.
Thanks.
Hey, Pat, it looks like you might have just raised your hand and been unmuting, so hop on board.
Here, I'm physically doing it. How's that?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, Dan, it's hard for us to understand sometimes, and we never get any explanations on the difference between players getting a waiver like Lorenzo Lingard did, and still waiting on other players like Shorter and other. I mean, what kind of explanation do you get from the NCAA about this?
You know, we either get the waivers been granted or denied. You know, that's about what you get.
That's what we get too.
Yeah, you get similar stuff. You know what? We might be more having an idea because they'll say, hey, we need more information about this or more information about something else while they're reviewing the case. So I think, you know, we'll get some of that stuff to know how they're reviewing it, how they're considering it, how they're looking at it, you know, by what they're asking for further information.
All right, Matt, you want to go ahead?
Hey, Dan. Hopefully you can hear me over PBS Kids in the background.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of unanswered questions about what the season will look like. Where you sit, what are the biggest things you don't know right now about what the season will look like?
Well, I think this. I think I'm trying to focus on, like with all our guys, which is really hard for people to do with everything going on in dealing with you know, with this pandemic we're dealing with the pandemic right now, is worrying about what we control, what we know, and what we can control. So, you know, as of right now, we're planning a training camp as normal. So we're preparing training camp as normal. We're preparing a normal regular season because that's what we can know at this point. You know, I mean, what's different, the variable right now, like I said, is that July 24th through August 6th. We've written up our plans for that. We feel pretty comfortable with what we're doing in that time frame if that does officially get approved by the NCAA. And, you know, and then we'll go to the next part. And I think it's a waste of energy sometimes to speculate on all the different things that can happen. What we have to do is be prepared to adjust to whatever does happen. And as we get knowledge, and as we get information and some solid facts, then we will adjust accordingly at that point. So to me, we're just, you know, I mean, I'm looking at as once, you know, really once August 7th hits, everything is back to normal for us because that's the information we have right now.
Have you given much thought or practiced coaching in a mask?
No, you know, I mean, I have my mask right here. So, you know, when I walk outside of my office, down the hallway, I got my little mask on. There we go. You know what? But again, we're not going to be on a field, even in a walkthrough setting with our players until July 24th, which is still, you know, approximately 6 weeks away. So we got to see where we're going to be at 6 weeks from now. So, you know, that'll be something we'll consider that week leading into it.
Thanks, Dan. Stay safe.
Buddy?
Okay. Thank you for unmuting me. Hi, Dan.
Hey.
Coaches love, they're creatures of habit. They love routine. Obviously, this is anything but routine. Like you said, you only know a couple of things. It couldn't have been a more difficult time than now to deal with the COVID, to deal with the unknown, the racial, civil unrest, etc. What's a coach's life like right now with all the things on your plate?
Well, I think this. I think one thing that is difficult is, as you brought up, is routine. I think it's difficult not having a routine for the coaches, and it's not having a great routine with the players right now. You know, and I think that is tricky. Hold on one second for me because we are in the middle of several different recruiting visits. So hold on.
Intermission.
All right, sorry about that. You know, what we're talking about with the routine is, I think even talking to a lot of our players, is one thing that they're hungry for is to get back to somewhat of a routine, even though it's still kind of a very limited routine, to have as much of a little bit of a routine that they can fall back on as possible. So I think that's been one of the trickier parts of things. But, as you keep hearing me saying this, it's obviously much easier to say than do, which is to try to worry about what you can control. So, our coach's life right now, we've tried to create as much of a positive routine for our players as we can, a positive routine for the coaching staff, and continue to be productive on the things that we can worry about and the things that we can control. And that's the one thing that is, I think, one of the hardest things that we've probably had to deal with, to me, is not being around our players. And even, I love the personal interaction of our players, and to be able to only do it when you have a team meeting and you get on a Zoom call and you're looking at however many boxes can fit on per screen. And then I try to scroll through the screens just to even see everybody's face. I think one of the hardest one is not dealing with the personal face-to-face, personal interaction with our players on a regular basis.
And one more, you haven't seen players in a long time, Miss Spring, obviously. And thinking back about some of the things, I wanted to ask a question about your wide receiver room, knowing that there's some people's names that may not be there. Billy Gonzalez has done a fabulous job of keeping that room full. And with the promising young players you got coming, without seeing them, I know. Talk about how that process has worked for you and Billy.
Well, I think one thing that we have that we're very fortunate of is the leadership of last year's crew and the bar that they set and the standard that they set. So when you look at the young, when you're the young guys are not the old guys, you look at a Rick Wells, a Copeland, a Trey Grimes. Those guys, are now looking at how last year's veteran group, how they carried themselves and ran the room, and they learned how to do it the right way, and they're going to carry that on. And then you get into some of our young guys that redshirted last year. They were able to watch that. Now they're able to see this next group of guys doing it the same way those guys did it. So I think they really set a great bar for us, the guys that left last year, for the young guys to learn on. And these new guys that are coming into the program are going to look and say, okay, this is the right way. This is how you do things. So, I think it's pretty good learning experience for those guys. And it's great to see. I've seen it from, the veteran guys of picking up where the guys that left the room left off.
Zach M.
Coach, from the high school level through college to, even the NFL, coaches all around the country are having to get more creative with what they can do with players to get them ready, get them in shape. What has this taught you about your own creativity, your coaching staff's creativity, and maybe one thing that you have found that's really worked for you guys?
The meetings of how we do meetings, I think that it's great. I think there's, there's a lot of things we can do right now. I think the comfort of the virtual meeting aspect of things will allow our guys, even in the future, if coaches, if guys are going to take a vacation, if there's vacation time, but we have time to get work done, that there's still productive ways to go do it and continue to learn by not doing things face to face. I think we learned a bunch in recruiting. You do these virtual visits. I think there's a way now that, in the future, you're going to have guys that can learn about Florida, get to see more and experience more about our program without having to travel to campus. So, you're looking at guys around the country that are going to be able to have an idea about Florida before they even get here to, make decisions within recruiting and to feel comfortable with our program. And hopefully, get more guys from around the country excited about coming to play for us. So, those are some things that we've looked for that we're going to try to continue to build off of into the future.
David, go ahead.
Coach, we saw Kyle Trask and a lot of the quarterbacks working with different quarterback trainers throughout this off-season part. How does that work within what you want those guys to work on? And do you have to help them unlearn anything with all these different trainers out there?
Well, since I haven't been able on the field with them, I don't know if I have to get them to unlearn stuff. So I have in the past. With different guys that have done that, but those are just the restrictions that we're under. So, you just deal with it and keep coaching guys up to try to get them better. Some of it's very helpful. Some of it you see good improvement. Others you see guys I have seen in the past. I'm not going to get into specifics, but guys take little steps backward.
All right. Let's see. Zach G had another.
Yeah, Pat had mentioned about Lorenzo Lingard and transfers earlier. Obviously, you haven't been able to be around him too much, but with him getting cleared, what type of impact do you think that could have for the offense, for the running back room this year? And from what you know, what's it been like for him with his rehab and everything coming off of the redshirt year with treating his injuries?
Well, I think it'd be great for the room because I think he's a real positive guy. I mean, from what I've seen, he works hard, in our off-season conditioning, worked hard, got a really positive attitude. I love his personality, and I really like who he is as a person. As it pertains to football, I can't answer any questions because we've yet to be on the field. So, but as a person, I think he's adding a really positive impact to the team and the program. I'm really excited about that because, he has really positive energy and has a great attitude and a great work ethic. So I think all of those are really bright for his future, and I'm really happy he's part of the program.
All right, Coach, I know you got a hard out coming up here. We got one from the chat from Jackie who's juggling a newborn in her hand, so I'll just read it to you. You mentioned mentally preparing for the upcoming season. How has the coaching staff approached this when you can't be with these guys face to face?
Well, I think that's the hard part. It is just trying to make sure guys are learning. You have a lot of meeting time, but making sure that guys are learning within the meeting time. The problem is guys learn very differently. Some guys can watch it and learn it. Some guys have to write it down and learn it. Some guys have to physically do it to learn it. There's all different guys that learn different ways, but so we're kind of limited in our teaching. So it's making sure that guys are learning the right way to do things right now and try to be creative that way. And we'll see when we get on the field. It's one thing to take notes and write it down in the classroom, but then to be able to go and actually do it on the field is something very different. So we're going to have to find out when we can eventually, whenever, hopefully we even start our walkthroughs on July the 24th to see how much knowledge guys have retained and how much they can translate that knowledge from a virtual meeting onto a on the field application.
All right, Edgar, you're the caboose here, so you'll finish it up here.
I had to unmute. I'm lame. So Dan, what's the biggest area of growth Kyle's made? You would say in the last 12 months. Things have changed completely, obviously, for him since last June.
Obviously,
in terms of his role.
The biggest one's going to be his experience out there on the field. You know what I mean? So he's now going from a guy that was preparing the right way, obviously prepared with confidence and knew he was going to put in the time and the effort to be ready in case his number was called, to a guy now that has the confidence of having experience, that has the confidence of having done it. And I think that is different. Not just, hey, I've prepared in case my number's called. Now he's a guy that has the confidence of, as I'm preparing, I know what it's going to be like out there on the field, and I think that experience will be a big help for him.
Could you do me a favor and put your mask back on one time and just model it?
There you go, my Gator mask.
That looks good.
Yeah, go Gators.
All right, Coach, appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Sam.
Hey, thank you, guys. I hope you all stay healthy and safe, and hopefully we get back to a little football here soon. So y'all have a great summer. Talk to y'all soon.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, buddy.